Just a few introductory lines about him. Dr. Ramesh C. Gaur is presently the University Manager in Jawaharlal Nehru University. Prior to this, he was the librarian head Calamity Division at Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts, New Delhi. Dr. Gaur is also headed Color Culture Division of IGNCU, and he was the project coordinator for a collaborative project with CDAT Pune, Government of India on Development of Digital Repository on Indian Cultural Heritage under the Project Center for Excellence in Digital Preservation. A Fulbright scholar, Dr. Gaur is a science graduate with PhD in Library and Information Science, with exposure to several advanced training programs on the application of IT to the library management. After which, exposure in corporate environment, he joined IIT Ghaziabad, where his first major achievement of automating the library and transforming it into a state-of-the-art establishment, framed by all concerned. On this field, he repeated at the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai. Dr. Gaur has also visited several countries, including US, Russia, Germany, Japan, Thailand, Hong Kong, Netherlands, maybe I missed a few. So with this introductory remark, I would welcome Dr. Gaur, and I would request Sophie also to welcome by giving a bouquet. Welcome, Dr. Gaur.
Good afternoon. Let me first thank Springer for this very innovative idea, the open lecture on open access with a wider audience, which is something I'm not experiencing very regularly. So I'm a bit nervous. Reason that first I'm not prepared well for this lecture because of certain preconditions. Second thing, this topic is of a lot of debate and discussions still emerging. Although it is not very new, but it is still under a lot of modifications, a lot of discussions. And prior to coming to this hall, I just went to one hall number 14 where I see some facilities for visually challenged students. So I may be adding few lines in my talk regarding the benefits of open access to visually challenged students. Primarily being a university librarian, my focus of the talk will be on what are the benefits of open access to the universities and how open access can help in improving the research output of a particular university. I will also share my experiences in JNU, in my own university, Jawaharlal Nehru University, that during my about 2.5 year stay, how we have tried to initiate some open access initiative during this period. Let's begin with some overview of open access. Open access literature is digital, online, free of charge, and free of most copyright and licensing restrictions. But let me clear one thing, it is not free, because in every initiative there is a cost involved in it. So there is a wrong, it's a kind of misconception that open access is something which is free. It may have free access, but it's not free. There is a certain cost open access. All major OA initiatives for scientific and scholarly literature insist on the importance of peer review. See, open access is not something that you write something and put it on internet for free access. It should be reviewed, it should be well tested, so users, whomsoever is using it, must have an idea that it is authentic information, information which is having certain review system. Let me just differentiate open access with some other concept. See, when we talk about open source, it is implies to computer software, open contents, applies to non-scholarly content. Open data, a movement to support sharing of research data. Free access, no charge to access, but all rights may be reserved. So these are the few of the things which we will include under open access. Open access is not something very new concept. It is there even in early 1960s. But major initiatives comes in 1991 with this archive, mathematical physical preprint archive. That we may consider that was the first major open access initiative. Then we have seen various developments, a lot of other initiatives. We have a lot of declarations on open access initiative. Important one, Budapest and Berlin Declaration. Now, in recent times, if we see that a lot of digital libraries, a lot of institutional repository, and even number of commercial publishers have also started open access journal and open access books. So things are changing very fast. But let me just give some idea, some views that why we need open access. So being a university, belongs to a university, let me just give you some overview of scholarly contents. See, all these data I have taken from the open access slides available from the net. It is not something I have compiled. So I will be just giving you some idea about on the basis of information available on the internet. We say about 25,000 peer-reviewed journals are published worldwide in all disciplines and languages. And most of universities and research institutions can only afford to subscribe to a fraction of those journals. Like in my own library, we used to subscribe to 2,000 journals, and now because of budget constraint, we have reduced it to 450 only. So, another point of view, approximately, it got published about 2.5 million articles every year in these 25,000 journals. But only 15% of these 2.5 million research articles are being made freely accessible on internet. Only 15% institutional research output is being self-archived in form of preprint or postprint. That means that all those articles are accessible to only a fraction of their potential users. Also means that researchers having only a fraction of its potential users. That also means that research is achieving only a fraction of its potential productivity and progress, because without good research material, good research cannot be done. Research that is freely accessible on the web is maybe 25 to 20 to 250 greater research impact if everything is made available accessible. So now what is the solution? In the paper era, there was no way to remedy to this, but in the web era there is a way, and open access is with us to provide free internet access to research journal articles. Let me further justify why we need open access. To maximize the uptake, usage applications and impact of the research output of your university. To measure and reward the uptake, usage application and impact of the research out of your university. To collect, manage and showcase a permanent record of the research output and impact of your university. See, basically another reason behind this, that pricing, like last 1 year university libraries or all kind of libraries in India are facing a very critical problem of budget because of dollar fluctuation and also budget cuts. Even we have been forced to drop a lot of databases and e-journals. So the contents what we are providing in the same amount last year, we may be reduced to 60% or 70% contents in the same amount if budget is not additionally made available. And another advantage of open access is that it increases the citation. As compared to the print journals, online journals are having more citations. So that is another advantage of open access. See, in earlier this method of publishing articles, most of the time users are depend upon the final published journal only. But now with this open access, we have a lot of options. We can self-archive the preprint, we can also self-archive post-print. Because a lot of publishers are providing a number of relaxations that in many cases if you sign an agreement with a condition that you have to self-archive your preprint in the your institutional repository, many of the publishers are not having any objections to that. So these are the benefits which are encouraging us to go for open access. So what is the situation today in terms of open access? Over 150 universities around the world mandate open access deposit. Many of them are having open access policy which guide the faculty and students for open access. Then there are more than 7,000 journals available. This is the old statistics of 2011 from more than 6 countries in this directory of open access journals. Then more than 2,000 other open archive repositories are there from 98 countries. Let's see the situation in India. I think we have some good initiative. Indian Academy of Science have put its entire journal collection online. Then Indian National Science Academy, INSAI, has also journal there. Then from NIC, more than 35 journals are available under this MADN. And MADNO is the another initiative. In terms of university system, we have another very good initiative in form of SOAP Garanga. This is a e-repository of electronic theses and dissertations, which has been launched under University Grant Commission notification. So a large number of theses are being put online. The number of standalone journals from various institutes and other publishers. We have more than 40 institutional repository which are having some sufficient collection. Besides, there are a number of open educational resources are being produced, like GyanKosh from IGNOU is providing access to the IGNOU study material. Then a number of other initiatives are in process. So in India, we can say that we are not much behind the international initiatives. We well understand the concept of open access. We are also trying to implement the number of resources under open access. So this is the scenario today. So let's see what are the different kind of open access models available. We call it open access green or wood or gold road. In green, items are made available on a repository, like in form of preprint or postprint article. Then there are pay model also, where author is paying or institute is paying on behalf of the publisher. Because as I mentioned in the beginning of the talk, there is nothing free. Everything has certain cost. And cost has to be paid by either the user or by the libraries or by the institution or by some funding agency. So on the basis of funding model, on the basis of different kind of restrictions, there are different kind of open access models are in place. See, basically when we talk about green open access mandate, it required immediate deposit and immediate open access. There are some examples which I have put in this particular slide. But there are a number of delayed access also. See, just give you my example of my university. In Jawaharlal University, we have digitized our entire collection of theses and dissertations. What we have a policy like all theses and dissertations are accessible online within the university. But what we are planning, we have given thesis to implement the Sodhganga repository with a 3 years embargo period. So all the theses which are older than 3 years will be made open accessible on Sodhganga. Same time, we are also developing our own institutional repository on DSpace, so we can also provide access to all theses and dissertations. Basically, there are a number of other options available for open access. Like you can have certain kind of even commercial publisher or certain databases provide open access with certain kind of embargo period. But some comes under the definition of open access, some does not comes under the definition of open access. One most important thing which I want to mention it here, that more than 63% commercial publishers, journals published by commercial publishers, more than 63% journals, they endorse you can archive your preprint in your institutional repository. So this kind of details are available on this Rovio website, which can give you all kind of information regarding who are the publishers which allow self-archiving. When we talk about open access policy, at JNU we are in process of drafting open access policy. So I have quoted example of the University of Pittsburgh, which has a beautiful policy for their faculty and students, which is quite helpful in creating a digital repository and also getting articles collected. So most important thing for universities which we realize at JNU is to have its own open access policy. So we are studying different models from the other universities, and soon we'll be having our own open access policy. Even at JNU we are also exploring to have certain kind of open access journals, because many of our schools and centers are very keen to launch some open access journal. Just a few days back I have discussed with one of the faculty to launch a open access journal in Hindi literature. So they are very keen and they will collaborate with the library too. So, but if we have an open access policy for a university, like it provides certain guidelines for the faculty and all kind of students, that these are the guidelines for the open access initiative or open access policy of the university. It really helps the university in getting the repository developed. So these are some of the points which are in practice at open access policy at University of Pittsburgh, which I have taken from there. So I didn't want to devote more time in that, because this policy you can go through and can see it from here. But what are the open access advantages for universities? See, adopt a policy mandating open access for all university research output, extend existing published or parish policies to publish with maximum impact. See, it is very important. Most of our universities, we are the user of the already created information, either by the commercial publishers or created. We are hardly creating our own information, or whatever research we are doing, either it is published in commercial publications, or we don't have open access journals or open access publications from the universities. And most of the universities are government funded. A large amount of funds comes from Government of India. So it is a kind of social responsibility also, that universities like us should create and generate research inputs research output for the benefit of other universities or other academic community or also other researchers. So I think it's very important for universities to have a open access policy. Then department should cooperate with that. Whatever policy is being, department should cooperate with that. And now university libraries can play a very important role. I mentioned about university grant notification 2009 about which says that it is mandatory for all universities to digitize thesis and dissertations and make that available within 30 days of award of a MPhil or PhD degree to the Sodhganga InfliNet repository of thesis and dissertations. But many universities have not even signed the agreement with InfliNet. So here comes the role of the library, because I still remember when I joined JNU in 2011, within a month we signed the agreement with InfliNet, and within next 1 year we digitized the entire collection of 20,000 theses and dissertations. So now everything is online. So we basically now this is the one input we have created for wider dissemination of research output. There were a lot of questions from our own academic community about the putting this online. We always argue on that putting it online make it more visible and also help others in improving their research capabilities. So university libraries can create a platform. They can provide help in launching open access repositories and also getting it implemented in the universities. So support is very important, because library is the only department which is having that kind of mandate and also having that kind of manpower to get the open access policy initiated in the university and also get it implemented. Then there is a different kind of research mandate for different research institutions. And then funding agencies, like I have quoted this example, and I would like, I'm not able to write, even in India now our funding agencies are well aware of that, and number of our own funding agencies like CSIR, Council of Scientific Industrial Research, ICAR, and many have come out with the open access policy. So this is not something that other countries are having open access policy. Our own research institutions are having open access policy, because recently we have organized a seminar with UNESCO on open access, and we found that all these open access policy drafted by ICAR or CSIR are well drafted and going to help research community in putting the research output online, so that can help other researchers in India. See, then in the this part of the presentation, I would like to suggest to some of the authors. You see, you have a lot of options. You are the person, even nobody can stop you from publishing from commercial publications. And if you want to publish in Springer or Elsevier Science, nobody can stop you from doing that. But even by publishing in those journals, commercial journals, you have certain rights. You should be aware of those rights. So you have a lot of options when you sign an agreement. You should use those options, like at least to deposit your research output in your open access repository, the institutional repository what is created in your institute. So there are different kind of tools available which can help you in knowing about your rights, your all kind of provisions, like how. I would like to conclude my talk here by giving only one last message, that as a university librarian, I think this is my request to all universities to at least put whatever they have in form of their thesis limitation in form of monographs, or even many universities are having a lot of journals published by them. If we can bring those kind of materials under open access, I think that is going to help not just Indian research community but also other academic research community worldwide. So I think these were some scattered thought, because I mentioned in the beginning of the talk, I am not very well prepared for the talk because it was decided on a very short notice, and I would be happy to interact if any question or any observations or any addition to whatever I have explained here is given by any of the audience here. Thank you very much. Once again, I would like to thank the speaker for inviting me for this particular talk.
Thank you.
Which I don't consider a talk, I just express my views and I expect others to respond to it. Thank you very much.
Mix up. Not be kind of marketing seminar. To discuss various issues concerning pricing models, business models, future of पानी सारे चेक
अच्छा एक साल 2500 रखेंगे नेक्स्ट ईयर 4000